Hello everyone, ISC Class 11, Literature in English, How to Write 10 Marks Answer. Dear students, in today's session, I am going to discuss two questions, one from the Tempest Act 1 Scene 1 and the other one from Salvatore. Let us try to have a rough idea as to how to write, how to tackle these 10 marks questions and answers. Question 1. Comment on the significance of the opening scene, Act 1, Scene 1 of The Tempest. Always underline the name of a literary piece of work. So, here I am underlining The Tempest. You may also put the title within quotes. Comment on the significance, meaning comment on the dramatic significance, the importance of the opening scene, Act 1, Scene 1 of The Tempest. Whenever you have such subjective long answers, always begin by writing a proper introduction. Incorporate 2 or 3 very important points in the introduction itself. Read this introduction and try to understand the concept. The opening scene of The Tempest, underline The Tempest, provides a realistic prelude to the strange actions which occur in the remainder of the play. So, this is an exposition, an introduction to the strange occurrences that will happen in the remainder of the play. So, realistic prelude, very important, point number 1. Another striking feature of the opening scene, Act 1, Scene 1 is brief. It is short, it is brief. Brevity is important, yet it strikes the key note of the play, in which sailors, the smell of the sea, solitude and an atmosphere of adventure surround us throughout. So, these are all important points and I have mentioned them briefly in the introduction. I will not repeat these points again in the body. Do not repeat any point, avoid repetitions. So, this is how you must write the introduction and then divide the entire answer into multiple paragraphs. Trust me, there is no rule here as to how many paragraphs you must make. It is up to you. It is up to you to frame the answer based on your viewpoint and your own understanding of the text. In the second paragraph, I have written a brief summary of the opening scene. So, this is the brief summary. I need to manage my time. I need to keep the length of the answer in my mind. So, let's read the summary now. The ship is carrying King of Naples, Alonso, and many of his nobles from a wedding feast in Tunisia when it is caught up in a violent storm. Very important. Ship caught up in a violent storm. A tempestuous noise of thunder and lightning is heard. This is the setting of the scene. And this is a textual reference. I have directly taken this line from the text. If you write your answers using such textual references, then this is going to create a favorable impression in the mind of the examiner. The shipmaster encourages his boatswain to do all he can to save the ship. But while he is pursuing this task, he is interrupted by the king and his party, adding to the confusion of the tempest. Now, students, read a good paraphrase. Try to learn the word meanings and paraphrase and then frame your answers. Things will be a little easy if you use this approach. The boatswain unceremoniously orders them to return to their cabins. Remain below. He keeps on telling them, remain below, go down, because they can do nothing to help. Gonzalo tries to console his companions by suggesting that the boatswain has the face of a man who is doomed to be hanged. He is not going to die by drowning, and thus they need not be afraid of the ship sinking. Antonio and Sebastian curse the boatswain for his insolence, insolence for his rude behavior, calling him a bawling, blasphemous, incharitable dog and an insolent noisemaker. Here I have made use of quotations, smaller quotations. Though we catch only a glimpse, we do not read a lot about these characters, we just catch a glimpse of Antonio Sebastian Alonso, yet we get a little information about their characters. What kind of people are they? We find how Antonio is a rude and impatient person, very important. How Alonso is a dignified person, again very important. And Gonzalo's reaction shows humor and tolerance. He keeps on telling that the boatswain is not going to die by drowning. He is going to be hanged. So this is an example of humor. Dear students, in the case of this question, you need to mention these points. So use my answer as a reference material. Read a lot of reference materials and also a good paraphrase. Next, the details of the operation to save the ship reveal Shakespeare's accuracy of knowledge in matters technical. Shakespeare gives us a vivid and effective picture of a ship which is gradually moving towards a rocky coast, suggestive of his acquaintance with sea, ships and seamen. He has good knowledge of these technical terms related to sailors, the sea and the ship. And this is evident in the opening scene of the Tempest. He is pretty accurate here. And then the conclusion. This scene is a masterpiece of suggestive description, successfully conveying to us the impression of a shipwreck by taking us into the heart of the action. We are directly taken into the heart of the action. Supernaturalism plays an important part in the shipwreck, and we will get a detailed explanation of this later in the play. Whenever you write such answers, write a proper introduction and also give a proper conclusion. Do not just end abruptly. So there must be a logical coherence. And as said, the length of the answer. What is the ideal length of the answer? Just have a look. This is a rough idea. English literature is subjective, so I cannot pinpoint that you will have to write 200 words or 150 words. Everything will depend on your level of preparation, your handwriting, the points that you have, the question that you are going to answer, and above all, the time management. How much time is left? So practice beforehand and I am sure you will do well. Moving on to the second question now, and this is from the short story Salvatore. Let's read this quickly. Give a brief character sketch of Salvatore, or what traits of character are evident in the protagonist of Salvatore. Who is the protagonist here? The name of the protagonist is Salvatore and the title is also Salvatore. The introduction. The short story Salvatore, apparently a narrative about the life of a young Italian fisherman and his disappointment in love, is actually a masterly character sketch of the protagonist. Somerset Maugham presents the portrait of a man ordinary who possessed the rarest, the most precious and the loveliest quality, goodness, just goodness. This introduction is different from the introduction of the first question. So you need to remember one thing: adapt and adjust your style according to the question available. What question do you have? Read the question thoroughly, understand the question and then write an appropriate introduction. Here I have focused on the character of Salvatore, because the question is all about the character analysis, and while writing character analysis, you must not write the summary. Do not write the summary, highlight the main points of a character. What kind of a person the character is. So, no summary, only traits of a character's personality. Let's come to the body and you will understand this a little better. I have not written the summary here, no brief synopsis, nothing, just Salvatore and his traits and the traits of his personality. Salvatore is a carefree, happy-go-lucky boy of 15 with a brown body as thin as rail and was in and out of the sea when the story begins. So, whenever you are analyzing the character, also briefly mention the physical appearance if there is any mention in the text. So, here we have a boy of 15 who is as thin as a rail and he enjoys swimming when the story begins. At the end of the story, again we find him as a middle-aged married man with a wife and 2 children. He looks a great big husky fellow, tall and broad. So, the physical appearance of Salvatore in brief, and then he is living a hard enough life, still he is happy and contented. Just try to understand the flavor of this answer. This answer is all about the personality of Salvatore. He is carefree as a young kid, he is happy-go-lucky, and then he is filled with satisfaction. Although he has a hard enough life, he is happy, he is cheerful, and he is contented, he is satisfied. So, this is how you must write such answers. Practice character analysis of other stories as well. And then, another important point, he is a responsible husband, an affectionate father, and then he is also a responsible brother. Being the eldest of 3 brothers, he took care of his brothers and acted as a guardian. His love for his family is evident throughout the narrative, his relationship with his mother. And since we need to manage our time effectively, since we cannot write very lengthy answers, here I have just mentioned the points. I have not explained each and every point in detail. I have just mentioned them because you must write a compact answer and all the key words and expressions must be there. So, responsible brother understood from this point, and then his love for his family. Next, in fact, he is an emotional man. How can you miss this? He is an emotional man. When he leaves home for military service, he feels homesick. As a lover, he is passionate. Very important. He is passionate as a lover and he writes long, ill-spelt letters to his beloved, the pretty girl from Grande Marina. He weeps like a child when he leaves the island. How can he bear this pang of separation from his beloved? But his heart exulted when the doctors declare him unfit for service. When the girl rejects him, he is shattered. He is disappointed in love. He is shattered. He weeps on his mother's bosom, his relationship with his mother, but he never utters a hard word of the girl. He is basically a good man. Later also, he tries to stop his wife from uttering harsh words for her. So, his inherent goodness. I have made use of simple small quotations. Next, he is sensible and practical and understands his rheumatism affected his beloved. Therefore, he just accepts his fate and he moves on in life. He is hardworking despite his physical condition. His decision to marry a woman older than he is a practical one. But he realizes her goodness and they lead a happy conjugal life. He is a dutiful son. He listens to his mother. You may add this also. He is a dutiful son. He listens to his mother and marries this woman who is older. But later they lead a happy conjugal life. So, am I writing the summary? No, I am just highlighting the key aspects of the character of Salvatore. Next, his endurance is noteworthy. You will have to mention this. This is very, very significant once again. His endurance is noteworthy. He bears his illness with mute and uncomprehending patience of a dog. I have mentioned the point and here I have briefly justified it. Why do I call him a person who is characterized by endurance? Because he bears his illness with mute and uncomprehending patience of a dog. He suffers the pangs of separation uncomplainingly. And he also has an ingenuous smile and kindly innocent eyes. His smile and his eyes are symbolic of his inherent goodness. And then the conclusion, do not end abruptly. Use a proper conclusion. Summing up his tenderness, gentle sweetness, the most beautiful manners, delicate care with which he nursed his sons make him endearing to the readers. He is such a good man. His character is such that he is endearing to the readers. The readers find him very appealing despite his simplicity, despite his ordinary nature. He is an ordinary person with an extraordinary quality, that is goodness, just goodness. So you need to mention this. What makes him endearing to the readers? These are the points, factors which make him so lovable as a character. My dear students, I hope this is going to help you